Well, I'm obviously most happy that we were able to give justice to Warren Grant's family. Obviously, it's a tragic situation. 15 years old, and his life was taken and completely ripped from him. Unable to accomplish all of those milestones that we all, are so excited to reach: high school graduation, college graduation, getting married, having children, things that Warren will never be able to do because of the defendant's actions. So. Always, first and foremost, we are here to give justice to our victim's family, and so we are very proud of that today.
The jury had a lot of kind of extraneous noise that they heard they had to sort through, but you made it really clear in your closing. Look, this you have to look at ABC, backs up the story. It's only first-degree murder. How do you think you managed to get that message to the jury? To ignore all the stuff about the friends and who started and all that stuff.
Well, at the end of the day, there's no dispute there was a verbal argument, but at the end of the day, you can't introduce a gun and you can't threaten to kill somebody 4 times and then do it. That in and of itself is first-degree murder. In this case, we had a video, and I think they had the opportunity, like I did many, many times, to watch the video, slow it down, listen to the things that are being said, watch what the people are doing, and at the end of the day, there was no other verdict in this case other than first-degree murder.
Adam, following up just a bit on that first part that you just talked about, what do you think resonated most for the jury to come back with its guilty verdict?
So I think there's a lot of things. I think first and foremost, he took a firearm to a school, right? There's no reason to take a firearm to a school unless you have a plan to use it. And I think that's first and foremost. There are other kids in this school, and I think the information found on his phone about his Google searches was important. But at the end of the day, he made very clear what his intentions were that day with his own statements, saying 4 times, "I will kill you," and then firing that gun into Warren's body.
When the verdict came down, no outburst, no emotion from the observers, and no emotion on the defendant's face. What's your reaction to that?
So unfortunately, given where I sit in the courtroom, I can't really see him. His attorney sits between him and I, so I couldn't really see his reaction. Obviously, the gallery, before the jury comes out, is given very strict instructions that they have to maintain composure, courtroom demeanor, that there cannot be any outbursts, pro or con, as the judge put it today. And so they are instructed very seriously that they have to maintain that, because this jury has a serious job, right? It's a serious job for them. And particularly in this case, it was heavy. We saw some emotion even from them. And I think it's a heaviness that we can't appreciate, right? That there's a 15-year-old who has now died, and now we have a 16-year-old who has committed first-degree murder. So I think that at the end of the day is what we saw in the courtroom today.
We saw the defendant testify, and that's not a very common thing in cases like this and murder cases. How, do you feel as though that may have affected the outcome of this case?
So I think in order to get some of the jury instructions that he wanted in this case, some of the lesser included charges, he really had to testify in order to generate those instructions. But I think our case was very strong, and I think during his testimony it was clear that his version, as the defense said it, and I said that's exactly what it is. It's a version. It's not the truth of what happened. And his version of what happened was completely contradicted by the evidence that they could look at and see. And at the end of the day, if you don't believe what he's saying, then again, there's no other verdict than first-degree murder.
I have a question relating to you from a very astute young person who's known about this trial. The mother lied. That was obvious. The son said he lied. And there was other things that came up, people who had guns, people who were selling guns in the street. Are more charges pending either for perjury in this case, or have you uncovered a system of ghost guns and ammunition sales and stuff that you're going to pursue?
So I think at this point, we're obviously very fresh. We've been in this courtroom now for over a week, so a lot of the information that came out, I don't think we've had any time to even process what happened, because our sole focus for the last week and a half has been getting justice for Warren Grant and getting a conviction against Mr. Prince.
And one other, looking forward, because the case is sealed, I counted when he's sentenced, he's facing life plus the possibility of 40 years. Is that, I don't know, because we don't know the details. And do you know when
I'll be honest, I haven't done the exact math on it yet to confirm that that's the exact number. Yeah, and our press release will have it. We always, as you know, include in our press releases what the maximum penalty is. So once we have the chance to sit down, as you know, this verdict just happened moments ago. So once we have the opportunity to sit down and calculate it, we'll be able to know what the maximum penalty is.
You touched on,
No, go ahead.
You touched on guess, evidence that you had against this defendant, why were you so confident that you were going to get a guilty verdict?
I think the video spoke for itself in this case, truly. I think the video was very clear about what happened in that bathroom, and unlike other cases, the jury was able to actually look and see what happened. They didn't have to judge who was telling the truth and make a lot of determinations about that. There were some determinations that they had to make about credibility, but in this case, they could watch the actual incident themselves.
And speaking of watch, I'm sorry, I have to ask you this. This was the first criminal trial that I've ever covered with Faroscan technology was used. I believe you said it's the first you've ever prosecuted maybe in this county. To me, I've served as a jury. It's got to be a game changer.
Yeah.
Can you explain how you think that might have helped?
Yeah, so it was helpful in this case. I think it could be very helpful in a lot of cases. This one we used it a little more limitedly, but it is the first case I've prosecuted with it. It is a new system that the Sheriff's Office recently obtained. I know in county we did have another agency who had one come in and use it in another investigation, but this is the first case I've prosecuted, and it can be very helpful, obviously, in cases where we have to talk a lot more about the scene and locations, and it can measure distance, and it does so many things that I think it is going to be a very useful tool in prosecution. I'm very happy that the Sheriff's Office obtained one.
Like the Warren case where the technology wasn't available then, but you almost had a jury field trip. Could you use it outside in that to explain the distance?
I believe we could, I think. Again, I haven't gotten into all the nuts and bolts of it. I actually had to have Detective Wilzinski show me how to use it for trial purpose because it is really that new. But I think it's going to be a very useful tool for us.
A couple other real quick things. We spoke a lot about possibly another student helping him dispose of the gun and somebody that actually got the gun for him. I know you mentioned it's still early. Are you anticipating any charges for the other people that may have played a role in helping him get the gun or get rid of the gun?
So at this point, obviously, we had the evidence that we had as to Mr. Prince and what happened. We have not established enough for charging against the individual that we spoke about in trial, assisting him. So we don't have enough to charge him. Whether more will come from the testimony, again, that's something we'll have to reevaluate when we have time to process everything that's happened in this trial.
And I know you spoke with Mr. Grant and family members. How are they reacting to this verdict?
So I think they were obviously grateful that justice was served in this case, but they did say it's a sad day.
Last question that I have just to make sure that I'm understanding. We didn't hear a verdict on the assault charges. Can you explain that?
Yeah, so those are lesser included charges of the first-degree murder. So if you were in there for when the jury was instructed, the way the verdict sheet reads is if you convict of the higher charge, then they skip the questions about the lesser included charges because they would merge in anyway.
Then I have one question. So you heard him basically say something about throwing the gun in the water. Has that reignited a search for the gun at all?
I don't think he said in the water. It was in the area in between the school. I don't. Quite frankly, I don't believe that was true. There were canines out there, dozens of police officers. If he had thrown that gun where he said he would, they would have found it. So, frankly, I just don't believe that was true.
Thank you so much for giving me so much time.
You're very welcome. Have a great night.
Thank you.
You're welcome.